This is a stimulus check update and daily news report. Got some good news that Congress has passed the bill to raise the debt ceiling by $2.5 trillion, which means the country is not going to default on its debt. I'll give you the latest of what's going on with those $10,200 tax refunds for the unemployment benefits and the latest stimulus check articles like this. For stimulus check update, some Americans are receiving $1,500 payments or more, and this one, stimulus check update, the 2021 deadline to get your plus up payments is quickly approaching. I'll give you the latest of what's going on with the Build Back Better bill. Played two different video clips, one from the White House, one from a Republican senator, both giving completely different perspectives on the bill, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers again, and I'll talk more about that later on in the video. But first, let's get into it. So Senate Democrats passed debt ceiling hike of $2.5 trillion just in time to avoid catastrophe and without any Republicans. So this happened just yesterday. Senate has passed the bill to raise it by $2.5 trillion. Then it went over to the House. Take a look at this video clip filling you in on all the details.
The Senate just voted to raise the national debt limit as the clock ticks down on the United States' ability to pay its bills. After months of debate on the Hill, the bill passed exactly along party lines, 50 to 49. Senate Democrats raised the debt ceiling by $2.5 trillion, pushing it to more than $31 trillion. Now the House must pass that same bill before it goes to President Biden's desk. The Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, said lawmakers have until tomorrow to raise the debt limit or risk an economically devastating default. CBC senior congressional correspondent Ilan Moy live in Washington tonight. Can they get this done, Ilan?
Shep, disaster is almost averted. The House is preparing the bill for a vote on the floor potentially later tonight. It could spill over into tomorrow, but it is all but certain to pass. So this drama over the debt limit is thankfully done. The two parties already cut a deal in which Republicans agreed not to block it from moving forward, but Democrats had to pass the actual bill all on their own. Today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer thanked Republicans for compromising.
No brinksmanship, no default on the debt, no risk of another recession. Responsible governing has won on this exceedingly important issue.
Now, of course, Republicans still reserve the right to criticize the debt ceiling. They've linked it to Democrats' social spending package, arguing that raising it just paves the way for a massive increase in the deficit.
More printing and borrowing to set up more reckless spending, to cause more inflation, to hurt working families even more. What the American people need is a break.
Both sides have a point here. The bill would raise the debt limit by $2.5 trillion. That covers prior spending that both parties signed off on, but it also gives Democrats enough room to pass Build Back Better. Importantly, Democrats believe this increase is enough to last through the midterms and into 2023. Shep, this fight will come back around, but both parties are hoping they'll be the ones in power when it does.
Ilan, thank you.
That was right after the Senate has passed the bill, and then it went over to the House, and the House voted on it as well, I think around midnight or a little past midnight as of today, December 15th. So really down to the wire here. So House passes debt ceiling increase, sending it to Biden to avoid debt default hours before deadline. Congressional Democrats voted to raise the debt ceiling just before the deadline that could mark the first U.S. debt default. Senate passed a borrowing cap increase late Tuesday afternoon. Then the House followed suit early Wednesday. I think it was a little bit after midnight today, Wednesday the 15th. And the bill heads to President Joe Biden's desk on the day the Treasury Department estimated the U.S. could run out of tools to pay its bills. So down to the wire, I'm sure we could all relate that when a bill is due, you get it done right when it's due. So in the House or in the Senate, it was a 50 to 49 vote. And then in the House, it was a 221 to 209 vote, as only one GOP representative joined all the other Democrats. So that's one thing that we don't have to worry about anymore. Looks like the government shutdown and the debt default crisis are out of the way. Next up are a few more bills before the end of the year, if they could get it done. I'll give you those updates in a moment. But first, the tax refunds on unemployment benefits still delayed for thousands. So let me know down in the comments below, have you received your tax refund for that $10,200 unemployment benefits that you pay taxes on and then you didn't have to, so then the IRS was supposed to send you a check back? Some of them being up to $1,000. Let me know, have you gotten that? So the American Rescue Plan waived federal tax on the $10,200 for 2020, and still there's a lot of people who haven't received it yet. So the IRS has identified 16 million people who qualify for that tax refund, and out of the 16 million, 11.7 million have been sent, and which by that math, around 4 to 5 million people are still expected to receive the refund from the $10,200 unemployment that was supposed to be tax-free. So I'll keep you updated if anything happens like that, but it looks like the IRS is just completely backed up. When it comes to the Build Back Better plan, more than 450 groups urge Senate to pass Biden package before the holidays. So there's a lot of pressure from a lot of different people here. So a group of more than 450 organizations is calling on the Senate to pass President Biden's social spending and climate package, which has already been approved by the House before adjourning for Christmas. Organizations are specifically asking senators to reject any amendments that would weaken the racial equity impacts of the child tax credit and not leave for recess until the roughly $2 trillion piece of legislation is passed by the upper chamber. So they're saying they want it to pass. Congress and Senate and the House have said, and President Biden said, that it will pass. They said it was going to pass months ago, but we're still playing this dance of going back and forth, mainly because of Joe Manchin. So the second-ranked Senate Democrat is daring Joe Manchin to sink Biden's agenda, saying it's time to put up or shut up. So some Senate Democrats want to put Manchin on the spot about the Biden's $2 trillion bill, saying it comes a time we've got to say it's time to put up or shut up, which is what Senator Richard Durbin said. But pressuring Manchin in high-stakes votes could blow up in Democrats' faces. I don't think putting pressure on Joe Manchin is going to do anything. This entire time, I feel like pressure has been on Joe Manchin, and he hasn't done anything, basically saying the same exact thing the entire time. But let me play you two different video clips. First comes from the White House saying how the Build Back Better bill will not cause inflation. Take a look at this.
Thank you, Jen. So you said the social spending package would lower costs in various areas like childcare, but would it lower inflation?
That's what dozens of economists have said.
Okay, even though like childcare could go down, but food prices could go up, they believe that the more spending that happens, the food prices could come back down, as well as the other things people are buying.
Well, 56 economists say that Build Back Better will help, quote, alleviate some of the strain caused by inflation. And I think what's important to note here is, and you're an economic expert of sorts, even if you play one on TV, but I know you actually are, is that as we talk about inflation and data, very important way to look at it and evaluate, look at the Federal Reserve projections. American people, how they're experiencing this at home is a rise in costs in different areas, right? Whether it's meat prices when they're buying burgers or gas prices or other areas. So why we explain Build Back Better the way we do is to convey exactly the areas to the American public where it will lower costs. Childcare is a huge cost burden on a lot of families across the country, and it will have an immediate impact next year. Go ahead.
Let me know down in the comments below, do you believe Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, about how the Build Back Better bill will not cause inflation? Citing the source of 56 different economists saying that it will not raise the price or raise inflation, it'll actually decrease it. Meanwhile, we have another perspective from the Republicans. Take a look at Republican Senator Rick Scott saying how this is not true and how the Democrats may be lying about this and how the Build Back Better bill may increase inflation even more. Take a look at this clip right here.
the CBO has this new score where they assume that social programs are going to be made permanent, and in that case it would add almost $3 trillion. So does that mean that President Biden will commit that these programs are not going to be made permanent?
Well, first of all, what you're talking about here is a fake CBO score that is not based on the actual bill that anybody is voting on.
That was White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki calling the new CBO score on Biden's Build Back Better bill fake. The report says that the true cost of the bill is actually $4.9 trillion. That in the plan there are gimmicks that say programs are going away, and in fact they will be made permanent. Joining me right now is Florida Senator NRSC Chairman Rick Scott. He is a member of the Homeland Security and Armed Forces Committees. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Your reaction to Jen Psaki calling the CBO score fake?
I think it's fake what she says, because what comes out of her mouth is constantly a lie. Remember how the infrastructure bill was paid for? It wasn't. Remember how this was paid for? It's not. Remember how they're not going to raise taxes on the middle income? They are. Remember how they're going to tax the rich? No, this is what, $600 billion worth of tax cuts for the richest families in California, New York, New Jersey, and then they cut charity care for hospitals in Texas and Florida and places like that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but they're just lying about this. Like they say, the border's secure. Come on. And the American public is fed up with Joe Biden and all of his constant, and Jen Psaki's constant lies.
Well, it's absolutely extraordinary, and you just mentioned one of the parts of the bill that you're specifically pushing back on, and that is these cuts to hospital funding in mostly right-leaning states. Senator, I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and Joe Biden wants to cut funding to hospitals?
Think about it. You're running a hospital. Let's say you're in inner city Orlando, and now Joe Biden says, we're going to give you less money to take care of the poor. I mean, how does that make any sense? At the same time, he says, oh, he's going to give tax cuts to the rich in New York. How does this make any sense? So you feel sorry for these people that need to rely on these charity hospitals for care, but you got to make sure they're funded. And we cannot allow the Biden administration and the Democrats to cut funding for these charity hospitals. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm going to make sure everybody in this country knows exactly what the Democrats are doing.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, are you sure that he's cutting the funding in hospitals for right-leaning states? This is quite extraordinary.
Oh, yeah.
We know that he has been busing and flying migrants into Republican states, but now he's cutting funding in Republican-led states for hospitals?
Yeah, the tax cuts are for the rich in blue states, and the cut in charity care is for the poor in red states. You can't make this stuff up. That's exactly what they're doing. I've been talking to our charity hospitals. And by the way, the Democrats, people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she sent a letter to Pelosi saying she would not vote for that. And she did. Of course she did, because they don't care. This is just all about making more people dependent on government. It's not good for families. I grew up in a poor family. I watched my mom struggle, but you don't bring your kids up to be dependent on government. And by the way, this is just another way they're going to tax the rich or tax the poor through inflation. Look at these inflation numbers, 6.8%. I mean, how can the poor live in this country anymore with what the Democrats are doing?
We are waiting on the Producer Price Index. We are expecting a spike of 9.2% year over year in the month of November. Do you believe that if this Build Back Better plan gets through in any form, that it stokes inflation even higher?
Oh, yeah, it's just reckless government spending. I mean, every time the government runs deficits and spends money and tells people, oh, don't work, just rely on the government, what happens? We get more inflation. Look at what's happened this whole year. Every manufacturer I'm talking to is seeing double-digit cost inflation. I mean, who's it hurting? The rich, your assets are going up, stock market's doing great, but what's happened to the poor? They can't afford the gas or the food. I watched my mom. She had to make a choice. Do I put gas in the car to get to work? Or do I have enough food for these 5 kids? That's what she had to do. And that's what Biden's doing to people all across this country.
Who are we supposed to believe? So I asked the question yesterday, do you think the Build Back Better bill, or yesterday or 2 days ago, will the Build Back Better bill help inflation or hurt inflation. Actually, the majority of you said that it will hurt inflation or make inflation go up or stay the same. So I'm curious, what do you think? Is it going to help or hurt the economy? That's the Republicans' perspective right there. Next, let me get into stimulus check updates here. So child tax credits to end December 31st unless Dems pass Build Back Better Act. So today, December 15th, child tax credits are going out and may already be accessible in people's bank accounts who got direct deposit. It's going to be mailed out as well, and it'll probably take a good 10 to 14 days, maybe even longer because of the holidays and the high volume of things that are being sent out in the mail. But there's no telling. I looked on the IRS website, they didn't say when. So child tax credits today, $300 and $250 per kid, but it may end if the bill is not passed by December 31st. So let's go on to the next one. So let's talk about this article right here, how your zip code affects when your $1,100 stimulus check arrives. Check when yours will be sent. So these are the Golden State stimulus checks that are paying up to $1,100. So area code 928-999 checks mailed December 27th through January 11th and should arrive by February 1st. So it looks like that's like the Los Angeles area. Then another recent one, 376-584 checks mailed November 15th through December 3rd and should arrive by December 24th. And then 585-719, those are going to arrive by January 7th. And then 720-927, those are going to arrive by January 21st. So the Golden State stimulus checks still going out on a regular basis. I'll give you more updates on those zip codes too in a bit, or over the next few weeks and days. And then this one, for stimulus check updates, some Americans are receiving $1,500 payments or more. So these are the child tax credits as well. So we've seen a few articles in the past say $1,800 instead of $1,500, but also it's $1,500 cumulatively. If you have a kid age 6 to 17, you get $250 per month. Times 6 gives you $1,500. So just another wordplay there. So talking about the child tax credits, which are going out today. And then we have the fourth stimulus check petition of $2,000 per month to every American, which is at 2,981,000 signatures. I don't know if it's going to hit 3 million before the end of the year. Not looking like it. It's kind of slowing down a bit. Then we have this one right here, stimulus check update. The 2021 deadline to get your plus up payments is quickly approaching. So plus up payments, this is for the year of 2020 and you did not file your taxes in the year of 2021. Basically saying that if you did not file your taxes and you want to get that plus up payment, you have until Friday, December 17th to file your taxes, because tax returns typically take a few weeks and then you could get it before December 31st. So that's the deadline if you did not file your taxes. Most likely you did by then for your 2020 taxes. So that is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you something that you should always do. Sometimes just sit on your bed or like sit at a table on like your counter and like sit down and take like 10 breaths. Breathe in and breathe out, because you need yourself to feel relaxed. And that's all I wanted to tell you for today. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. So I mentioned about the $200 checks. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to give out all the rules and everything of how you could potentially win a $200 check. Do this once a month, and I'm going to try to get it out so right around the holidays, $200 checks will be sent out to my subscribers as to show my appreciation for you being a part of the Wise Flies community. So stay tuned for that in tomorrow's video. If you want to check out my latest Wise Vibes video, check out this one up here. It's from Steve Harvey, talking about his lessons. He used to be homeless, living out of his car. Now he's worth, several dozens or hundreds of millions of dollars now. So check out that link up there if you want to learn some lessons from Steve Harvey, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.